Hello, this is my Learning Center activity. I did it on surface area, perimeter, or volume. And this right here is the title of my activity. To start, I put the standards, which like I said is the 5th grade math standards for measurement and geometry. It says students understand and compute the volumes and areas of simple objects. 1.2 says construct a cube and rectangular box from 2-dimensional patterns and use these patterns to compute the surface area for these objects. 1.4 says they differentiate between and use appropriate units of measure for 2- and 3-dimensional objects and find the perimeter, area, and volume. So I put the standards right here on the board so that the students know what they're learning when they come to this activity or this learning center. As you can see right underneath that, I included materials, and really what it just has is rulers because the other materials the students are just going to be using pencil and paper, and they can have that, or they can bring that to the learning center themselves. Down below, it's a sign-in sheet where their students are going to write their name, the date, the time that they come, and then when they're finished, I have to initial that they completed this learning center. Okay, so to start right here, I just added this little sheet where it says remember the formulas, because the main part about this entire learning center is learning these formulas of surface area, perimeter, and volume. Right here it says activity 1. Activity 1 directions are right here. It says collect your materials first. You're going to need paper, pencil, and tape. Construct each 2-dimensional diagram into a 3-dimensional figure. On a separate piece of paper, create the data table like this one. Find the length, width, and height of each object. Find the surface area for each figure. Record your data and submit your work into the finished work folder. The finished work folder for the entire learning center is this folder. The student is just about to, or will just open it and then place their work in the folder. So I included these examples up here. The student can take them off of the board like this, and they can use this object to measure and as an example, or they can flip through this here where I have all of the worksheets that they're going to need to make their 3-dimensional objects. So that's activity 1. Activity 2 is called Surface Area Smackdown. This little side note here says, before you begin the game, use this math geometry worksheet to practice your math skills with your partner. Please show your work on a separate piece of paper. You do not need to submit this to the finished work folder. It's only practice to prepare you for the game. So like the standard says, they are able to use 2-dimensional objects. So this right here would be the worksheet. Surface Area Smackdown, Math Geometry. This is where I got the idea for the game. It says determine the winner of each boxing match by finding the surface area of each box. The box with the larger surface area is the winner. Write the surface area under each box. All measurements are given in inches. Be sure to show your work. And again, it gives the surface area formula here. So how you play the game, boxing match number 1. The student each has to solve one side, one box, and whoever surface area is larger, they win that round. So I want the students to complete this worksheet. Like I said in the little directions right there, it's just extra practice. I don't want them to turn it in. It's just so that they're able to find the surface area of 2-dimensional objects. Now, when they start to play the game, I have the directions right here for the Surface Area Smackdown. This is a 2-person activity. The object of the game is to find out whose box is larger by measuring the surface area, perimeter, and volume. To start the activity, you need to gather your materials. Materials needed are the manipulative blocks, Surface Area Smackdown chart worksheet, scratch paper, pencils, and rulers. Here are the blocks that I cut out for this activity. Here is the Surface Area Smackdown worksheet, the chart. The directions are very similar, almost completely the same as the worksheet that I just went over. Start by taking one of the surface area Smackdown chart worksheets. You'll only need one for you and your partner. So this is the chart that I created for this game so that the students can be recording their data and all of their work while they're at this activity. Next, take the first set of blocks labeled with a red number 1. This will be round 1. So here are the blocks. These blocks are for round number 1. Determine the winner of each boxing match by finding the surface area, perimeter, and volume of each box. Use the surface area Smackdown chart to record your data through each round. That's that chart. So what I would want my students to do is grab the rulers. Okay, so for each student, one student has this block and one student has this block. I labeled each block with the side that is going to have the length, the height, and the width. So the student has to come and measure using the ruler and then record their information here. So student A here, student B here, and this is for round 1. They're going to find the length, the width, the height of each object, the surface area, the area, perimeter, and volume. And the student whose surface area, perimeter, volumes are larger, that student wins that round. So I think it's a fun game because it's a competition and all students love competition. So here are my manipulative blocks. Round 4, round 3, round 2, round 1 is down at the bottom. There are 5 rounds to this activity. So the rest of the directions just say continue, repeat the steps. I color-coded which round is which color, and submit the work when they're finished into the finished work folder. This finished work folder is how I will be grading the students' work at this learning center so that I know how the students are doing, how they're learning, what I can help them on in the future. So activity 3, these are just extra help worksheets that the student, if they're finished with this learning center, can take back to their desk and get some extra help. So I found these worksheets. They just provide extra help for the student who really just doesn't understand how to solve the surface area, perimeter, or volume. It gives an example right here, and then just some quick math problems. This is for a rectangular prism. Same thing, gives an example. The student can read it and follow it, and then they have to solve these problems down here. So those are those extra worksheets that the student who needs extra help can do. This is another worksheet here that I created. It's a problem. It says, Henry built a jewelry box for his mother using the pattern shown. How much fabric does he need to cover the top and sides? Now he needs to use what he knows about surface area, volume, and perimeter to finish his present. Henry needs to find the surface area without the bottom. Remember those formulas, and then just solve the problems. How much will the jewelry box hold? And so on. This next worksheet here is lots of word problems about perimeter, area, or volume. The student has to read the problem and figure out if he or she needs to use perimeter, area, or volume. So those are the worksheets that are inside the extra help folder. The last activity that's at my center is called Match the Formulas. The directions are right here. Flip the cards over, face down so that you see the white side of each card face up. And I have the cards right here in this folder. So it's just like any ordinary matching card game. The cards need to be face down like this.